In John chapter 8, verse 51, Jesus states, I tell you the truth. If anyone keeps my word, he will never see death. This enraged the Pharisees. So down in verse 53, the Pharisees say, are you greater than our father Abraham? He died, and so did the prophets. Just who do you think you are? And then Jesus says down in verse 56, your father Abraham rejoiced at the thought of seeing my day. He saw it and was glad. And then in verse 57, they respond like this. You are not yet 50 years old, the Jews said to him, and you have seen Abraham? Now, Abraham did walk the earth about 2,000 years before Christ was ever born. So how is it then that Abraham saw Christ's day and was glad? So before I even drop the name Melchizedek, looks like I just said it, please allow me to explain a few things about the King of Kings. So Jesus is referred to as the son of David and the root of Jesse. This is a very interesting way to be referred to, being as David is the son of Jesse. But Jesus is being called the son of David, and at the same time, he's being called the root of Jesse. So in a natural scheme of things, it would appear that Abraham is the root of Jesse, seeing that Jesus is being referred to as the son of David. But we know that this is not the case as we read what Jesus said in John chapter 8, verse 58. I tell you the truth, Jesus answered, before Abraham was born, I am. This falls in line with what John the Baptist said in John chapter 1, verse 30. This is the one I meant when I said, a man who has come after me has surpassed me because he was before me. And we also know from Revelation chapter 1, verse 8, Jesus states, I am the Alpha and the Omega, says the Lord God, who is and who was and who is to come, the Almighty. So correct me if I'm wrong, but being who is, who was, and who is to come would make you omnipresent, right? And to be the Almighty, why, that would make you all-powerful, which would make you omnipotent. So to be omnipresent throughout all space and time, and to be omnipotent or all-powerful throughout all space and time would make you omniscient or all-knowing throughout all space and time. So to be omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent is to be like as stated in Colossians 1 verse 17, where it says, he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. All right, so we've established that Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, and all that's in between. How now do we establish that Abraham, who came 2,000 years before Christ came upon this earth, saw Christ's day and was glad? So in order for you to fully grasp what I'm getting at here, I'm going to have to tell you a little bit about the story of Abraham. But before we get into all that, let me read to you what the author of Hebrews says about Jesus in Hebrews chapter 7, starting at verse 17. For it is declared, you are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Melchizedek, that's that name that I said I wasn't going to drop earlier, that I dropped, that I'm dropping again right now. Melchizedek. Let me just tell you this. Melchizedek has got everything to do with Abraham seeing Christ's day and being glad in it. Now let's talk a little bit about Abraham. According to the Bible, Abraham is considered the father of nations because God promised Abraham that through his lineage all people on earth would be blessed, which is interpreted as referring to the coming of Jesus Christ, meaning that Christ's earthly lineage did come through Abraham's seed, but not until 2,000 years after Abraham. So how then did Abraham see Christ's day and be glad? So now I'm going to tell you a little story out of Genesis chapter 14 of the Bible. Abraham has a nephew named Lot, who is kidnapped by 4 kings. Abraham goes into battle with these 4 kings and defeats them and rescues his nephew Lot and has a whole bunch of plunder from these 4 kings. As Abraham is on his way back home with Lot, he encounters Melchizedek. So just who is this Melchizedek, whose name means King of Righteousness? And according to the Bible, he was the king of Salem, which is Jerusalem. Also, there is no record of Melchizedek's birth or Melchizedek's death or any parents of Melchizedek. So let's go directly to the encounter Abraham has with Melchizedek in Genesis chapter 14, starting in verse 18. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was a priest of God Most High, and he blessed Abram, saying, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand. Then Abram gave him 1/10 of everything. Now I say Abram instead of Abraham because God hadn't changed Abram's name until Abram becomes 99 years old and has his first son, Isaac. It is then that God changes his name from Abram to Abraham, which means a father of many nations. Okay, so back to Melchizedek. So let's fast forward into the New Testament to Hebrews chapter 7, verse 17, where it says this about Jesus. For it is declared, you are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. So who is Melchizedek? Melchizedek is a Christophany of Christ. Christophany is a pre-incarnate appearance of Jesus Christ before he was born on earth. So Jesus, long before he was born, Jesus comes to earth in the form of Melchizedek, high priest, the king of Salem, whose name means King of Righteousness, came to bless his progenitor Abraham, for it was through Abraham's seed that the lineage of Christ would be established here on earth. And Abraham, in turn, gave the greater Melchizedek 1/10 of all of his spoils from war, representing the first offering ever given in the Bible. So, when Jesus said Abraham saw his day and was glad, Abraham really did see Christ's day and was glad. Melchizedek even shared his bread and wine with Abraham. And we know that in the Bible, bread and wine represent communion through Christ's body and blood.
Christ is King.